Nice. Hey. Wow. Wow. Hmm. That sounds like a pretty good deal. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Hmm. I like the dub a lot. Yeah. Hello there, Coast Jamal. We are... just randomly. Right. Yeah. And you can afford $6 a month. I feel like that's pretty good amount of money to support the thing you like. For a VHS. Yeah. Hey there, P-Flux. Yeah. That's crazy. We are only one of two web shows streaming on Beam right now. So hopefully that works in our favor. Hello there, Beam and Hitbox, which we are now streaming on. I'm hoping correctly. All right, we're now on Hitbox. Good, good, good. Although its title on Hitbox says, "My first Hitbox live stream." I mean, technically, but... Alright. Let's give everybody a minute to join the live stream here. Oh, does YouTube work? I have like all these sites to check now. Tough job. Yeah. Boy, looking good. I'm really happy with the video quality of live streaming on YouTube, I have to say. That looks really, really good. Yeah. I've been streaming on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. It's been pretty nice. Alright. Okay, have I played anything else? I just finished Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which I'll talk about on TVGP tomorrow. Played more Destiny than is healthy. Being a soon-to-be stay-at-home dad leaves a lot of hours in the day. Yep. Yeah, I've been... When did I quit my job? Quit my job in March, so it's been almost 7 months now. There are a lot of hours in the day when you're not working. Not a bad thing, because I know, Mina, you've worked in IT before, and working IT is inherently stressful and 14-hour days, but... Oh. Nice. This is a nice little patch in our backyard where I kind of want to grow some plants and stuff, but since our child is due, could be any minute now, it's probably not a good time to start. Yeah. Yeah. Right? Gotta go! Oh, man. Yeah, it's not at all frightening. We're having a girl. Yeah, I'm very excited. I think I will be... I told my wife when we realized we were expecting, I was really hoping for a girl because I think I'll be a better girl dad than a boy dad. So I'm pretty pumped. You know, we don't know 100% until our child is delivered. But you know, the ultrasounds have shown a girl, so it's like a 95% chance. So yeah, I would not be that type of. I wouldn't be that type of dad. Oh, you want to play baseball? I don't know. Yeah. It's MLB 2K22. Yeah. Good times. Alright, I've got that open. Is Fig only doing one game? Oh no, it's doing a couple games. Oh, you can still invest in Psychonauts 2. Interesting. Well, it's my understanding that you can... There's two ways you can do it. One is like your typical Kickstarter backing, where you just toss them $25 and you get a digital code of your game for Steam. And the other one is you can invest in it, and then depending on... how come I can't hear Musum or Mina? Did I screw up my audio? I did. I bet that's because... Hold on. Thank you for everyone letting us know. Aha, that's why. Set default. Can you guys just check real quick?
Check 1, 2.
There you go. Guys should be able to hear him now. If you can verify. The other option is a traditional investment where you can toss a bunch of money, and then depending on how well the game does and depending on how much money you invest, you could potentially get dividends. You can get a return on your investment. So,
right.
You know, if you put $50,000 in Psychonauts 2 and it sells, you know, let's say 2 million copies, which unfortunately it won't, then you could get, you know, say $5,000 back or something like that. So I think that's the real attractive thing about Fig for investors and developers, is someone can come in and be like, you know, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is on this game, and I'm gonna give them like $100,000, but you know, something like Wasteland 3 is probably going to do really well over long term. So you can invest a pretty serious amount of money in that and potentially get a pretty good investment.
Yeah. Well, I did look, and I think the minimum investment is $1,000, and they come in $1,000 units. So
that makes
I
sense.
at least looked that far. I just thought they had kind of smaller investment things, but I guess not.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, they just got cleared by the SEC.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised that anything under 1,000 probably wouldn't be worth the paperwork. You know, this guy wants to invest $10, and it's like, okay, cool, you get 0.005 cents back.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, it would be cool. I'd like to be an investor, but
It would be nice to have that experience someday, but
Yeah.
having another grand is kind of a pipe dream for me at the moment.
Well, I think, when you look at... I thought the investment opportunity was interesting when Psychonauts 2 was there. I don't think I would have invested in it, but I think for Wasteland 3, if I had a spare grand, I might have seriously considered tossing in a grand for Wasteland 3. Because I think...
Well, and they went on the record and said that they made $12 million profit off of Wasteland 2.
Nice. That's great.
Which, if you divide that by 60, is like 200,000. So,
right.
And that's probably not even the real number of units sold. It's probably more like... Well, okay, I have no idea what it would be.
Well, you have to think, like, they're selling some in bundles, and they're selling through resellers, so, you probably want to almost double that, I would think.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure there was, like, a humble bundle with Wasteland 2 in it for $5,
I really didn't think Wasteland 2 did that well. It hardly got... Like, at the time, I don't feel like it got any media attention.
I think it helped
except
that
for...
it came out on PS4 as well.
Hmm.
That's where I've been
meaning to grab that copy. I've heard some negative things about it, but I tested the Steam controller out with their Steam controller settings, and that seemed like it worked pretty well, so that made me way more open-minded to it on console. But anyway.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those games that if I get into, I need to have that be the only game I'm going to play, so I can kind of dive all the way into it.
It is, yeah. I mean, you're going to spend at least 60 hours in it.
Yeah.
Minimum. I think I spent 90.
Wow. I mean, that's a great thing. I definitely, nothing bad
and
there.
And none of it was grinding either. Like, it was all exploring places and attempting things.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
I gotta close this curtain a little bit. It's making me look ghostly.
Yeah, P-Flux, they're doing the Fig thing right now. I don't know how far the stream is behind us, but if you just search for Fig in Wasteland 3, you'll find it.
Yeah, if you go to fig.co, I think it's on the front page.
Yeah.
Yep, it's one of the only 2 games on the front page, so... The other one is Make Sale.
They have 3 videos right now for it too. So, or no, they have 2 videos. I'm sorry. They have their jokey intro. Why we're running Wasteland 3 right now. It's Brian Fargo running around with his really bad acting and his CGI robot sidekick.
Oh boy.
Like trying to find the writers for Wasteland 2. It's really hokey, but it's still kind of endearing.
Yeah.
And then the other video is a combat encounter in Wasteland 3. So,
oh, nice.
But I guess we'll talk about that in 2 hours anyway.
That's right. All right. I think I'm ready. Are you guys ready to kick this off?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did I talk about... When did Rise of Iron come out? I don't think I talked about that last month, right?
I don't think you did.
Yeah, because I think it came out 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? God, I don't even know. September 20th. So that would have been after last month's episode. Consult my notes here. Yeah. Okay. I'm talking about Rise of Iron. ROI. Get my return on investment on Destiny. Heyo. Alright, you guys ready to kick this off?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Alright, starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me, as always, is Musum.
Hey.
And Mina.
Hi.
A couple of quick programming notes here at the very beginning. We have, if you haven't watched the live stream, we record this show live, so it's always a good time, and you can see our beautiful faces talk to you about RPGs for about 4.5 hours every month. I just added 2 more sites that we're streaming to. So before we were streaming to Twitch and YouTube. Twitch is E1M1 Network, and YouTube is That Video Game Podcast. We're now also streaming to Beam and Hitbox. You can just search for E1M1 on both of those. A lot of sites like to ask for your email address, and then we'll just make a username out of that, which is bad. Guys, don't do that. Also, this show and TVGP you can find on SoundCloud. Just search for E1M1 Network on there, and you can listen to it wherever you listen to SoundCloud stuff. And hopefully iHeartRadio in the future, but they are not approving me yet, so I will not take that personally. All right, enough jibber jabber. Let's get into it. Musim, what have you been playing this past month?
Okay, so this first game I've been debating about talking about because it's barely a game, but it is, you know, it's a tapper. It's RPGs distilled down to nothing. This is He-Man Tappers of Grayskull. I always want to say scroll. I read too much Marvel.
He-Man Tappers of Grayskull?
Yes.
That is not the game I was expecting you to be talking about. But now I'm intrigued.
So it is a tapper game. I've never played one before this one, and I enjoyed making fun of other people for playing them, and it is massively addicting. It is, okay, you start out with He-Man, and then you get enough money from killing guys, and then you can start hiring the different masters of the universe. I think the first one you get is, I can't remember her name. Well, the second one you get is Man-at-Arms, and they have all the ridiculous He-Man characters, and they're all kind of like chibi-style graphics in it, too.
Oh, okay.
And then, you play a while, and then they have a time travel thing that sends you back to the beginning of the game, but you get to
keep your stats or something.
Yeah, you keep your artifacts is what they let you do, and you can go through again. You basically play till you can't really move very fast in it, and then time travel back and rinse and repeat. And it's a really dumb game. And I have been playing it for like 2-3 weeks straight, pretty obsessively. So I haven't spent any money on it though. Like, it's free to play. They don't really seem to care about balancing, because they have, like, you can watch commercials in it to receive like the in-game, like, real money currency, right? And you can just kind of infinitely do that.
Well, that sounds all right.
So like the first day I played it, I'm like, you're just gonna let me keep doing this. So I literally just took it with me throughout the day and just kept putting watch video till I could buy a bunch of the keys, and I kind of played it that way. But it's it's stupid. It's ridiculous. The He-Man skin goes a ways with me. I wasn't allowed to watch He-Man as a kid. I watched it for like a couple episodes, and then my parents sat down and informed me that only God was the master of the universe, and I couldn't watch it anymore.
Right.
So
also, this dude's shirtless. What's up with that?
Yeah. I mean, this shirtless, like, bob cut, like, what's with his hair?
The floating wizard, everything is weird.
Not even going to bring up the Iron Cross in his chest. I mean, come on. But anyway, that's a stupid phone game. It's great. If you like He-Man, may as well. Oh yeah, and the backstory for it is pure dumb genius. Like, it's Skeletor has discovered how to make all of the Masters of Evil, or whatever they're called, giants.
Great.
Which is why they're the giant monsters on the screen. It's so dumb.
Man.
So I played a little bit more Skyrim, not too much. I went through the rest of this this DLC called I thought I wrote it down. I didn't write it down.
It's called
it's like Girl with the Dragon.
Universe.
It's yes. I downloaded the He-Man mods to everything.
I guarantee you there's one out there.
I know. At minimum, the sword is in there.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Like, I have a mod for the Bleach sword, and the mod for the Bleach sword, like, if you ever watch Bleach, like, through several portions of the show, his sword levels up into something else. Mm-hmm. So the way they did it in the mod is you literally can just forge your sword into something else, and you apply souls to it.
Oh, man.
But anyway, so Girl with the Dragon Heart, it's a very glitchy but kind of neat DLC. Because it has a pretty long quest line to get a companion, right? You basically just meet this girl in Markarth and They make a big deal about her age, which kind of gets to a creepy place later on when because afterwards you can marry her, which is, as a 35-year-old man playing a woman in Skyrim, I opted out of that, even though I kind of want to see the storyline. I figured I needed to draw the line. But like the rest of the DLC is fairly long and involved in kind of unraveling this character's history, and she has kind of shady parents, where one of them is a kind of a bandit, head of a bandit thing. But it's a good, I don't know, 3-4 hour quest line.
Oh, that's nice.
And the guy is updating it a lot too. So, and it's fully voice acted.
I was about to say, I bet it's fully voiced.
Yeah. And you aren't, fan voice acting is never anywhere near as good as professional voice acting. So just accept that it's not going to be up to par, and then realize that this is better than most fan voice acting.
Right.
So, they do a couple things where they take away your ability to do anything in certain scenes to make sure the story goes a certain way, which is kind of lame in an Elder Scrolls game. But at the same time, it's a mod, probably one person with their own means and methods. So it's not. I can understand why they would probably need to do that at that point that it happened at. But anyway, moving on. I played a little bit more Deus Ex Mankind Divided. This is a really difficult game for me to continue playing on PS4. Or maybe I should just say console in general, because the way I play Deus Ex is do something and then reload, and then do something else and then reload, and to do something because I want to see where the systems are, where it goes, what affects what.
Oh, yeah.
And the load times are like 20 seconds long or something like that. It is not good. It saves quickly. It actually will, you'll hit the save button and then leave the screen, and it will let itself continue trying to save for a couple seconds while you do other things.
Oh, nice.
But the load, I don't know, it's just killing me. But I did manage to, basically I've been wandering around this third area, and there's a bank. And I didn't get a main story reason to go there, but I got a side story reason to go there. So I walk in, and this is a 10-story bank.
Whoa.
You can only access the first 3 stories. I haven't figured out how to get to the basement levels. But basically I spent about 4 hours unlocking and exploring every nook and cranny of this place. What sucked was, and part of the reason it took 4 hours, is I went through it, and then I was like, okay, I got everything, I'm ready to leave. And then I realized the entire building is hostile towards me.
Oh, no.
I'm like, okay. So then I went back, I've been keeping 12 save games, time. So I basically went back to the start of the bank experience and figured out where my error was happening. So the once I figured that out, I got through it and got out. The first time I went out the bank, there were 20 guards with their guns just aimed at the front door. It's just oh crap. This is not how I meant to play this. But I like that game. I've been trying to figure out kind of what its issue with, because I like the idea of the open world Deus Ex, but the open world to a degree doesn't feel like it has too much. I mean, I guess I'm using the term open world loosely, because obviously it's these big arena sections that you load in and out of via the subway, but I think the problem lies in that it's while it's immersive in a lot of the visual details and such, it's not really immersive in what you do, and I feel like everything's really kind of randomly related in it, where I feel like I need to be more funneled towards one direction or another. Cohesive, I think that's the word I'm looking for. It doesn't, things you are doing and robbing and stealing don't feel like a cohesive whole to me necessarily. It's still fun to romp around and do stuff in, but it's
that sort of sounds like the experience that a lot of people had with Dragon Age Inquisition, where it's okay, I have 4 areas I can explore, and there's all these side quests, but what should I be doing right now? Like, where am I going? What's happening?
That's not a bad comparison. Although Inquisition is way bigger than Deus Ex. But that's not a bad comparison. I need to get back to it. It's been a couple weeks since I played it last. But I'd like to at least get through it and beat it, and hopefully refine my criticism of it a bit. It's funny, when they announced the PlayStation Pro Plus, like, the first thing I did was start tweeting at the various companies, will this improve my load times in Deus Ex?
Please help me.
That will be a sale point for me on any of these consoles.
It's one of those games where you think, like, man, if I could just put an SSD in here, oof, it'd be so good.
I guess I could technically do that, couldn't I?
Yeah, but at what cost?
A lot.
Yeah.
My PS4 hard drive is full right now, and
yeah,
I guess they're all 500 gigs unless you replaced it, so a 500 gig SSD, I'm imagining.
They're getting cheaper, but not that cheap.
Yeah. So then I went down some rabbit holes. I loaded up Fallout 4 to discover it had an update, because I hadn't played it in a few months, and that update added the whole Bethesda Workshop stuff, which this caused me to have to reinstall all the mods, basically. It is,
oh boy, here we go.
It was bad, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as bad as it could be, because it was, okay, you have to reinstall. On Fallout 4, I'm using the Nexus mod manager instead of mod organizer, and I use organizer on Skyrim, and I don't know, I go back and forth. So kind of what happened is mod manager then had to be updated to work with it, and then all the mods I had downloaded, I had to check for new versions on the Nexus, and then disable them and then re-enable them.
Oh, jeez.
Which is probably 15-20 seconds a mod, and I have 20 or 30 mods, which isn't as bad as like the 180 some of these people online have.
It's one of those things, though, where you're like, you look at it and you're like, okay, well, I know what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the day. Let's just let's grab a coffee and tuck in, and let's update every mod. Yeah.
So I, finally, after I get all that done, I get Fallout 4 started, and I'm like, well, I may as well check out the Bethesda mod shop. And I don't see how anyone finds anything they ever want in that mod shop, because they have it arranged like Netflix.
Oh.
It is a nightmare. Like, I was thinking, well, maybe it'd be better if I found some of my same mods with the tools, and I took 2 glances at it. I'm like, I am never wading through this.
Right.
The Nexus is still there. Nexus is still really good. Unless someone comes out with a mod that I just can't get anywhere else, I don't see myself messing with this. So then I click the load button, and then the game has a pop-up window that informs me that achievements have been disabled since I'm using mods, and I click OK.
Son of a...
And every single time I played the game up until a few weeks ago, it has given me that stupid
oh, God.
I don't necessarily care about the achievements, but having that pop up every time I click on continue game is just... Come on, guys.
I bet there's it's unfortunate, but my initial knee-jerk reaction was, oh, I bet there's a console command to disable that error message. And it's like, wait. I bet there is, but that's beside the point.
I bet there's a mod to do it, too.
Probably. Just search for no pop-ups. Install the mod.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So I played a bunch of Fallout 4. I was really enjoying it. I finally got to a point where I was just like, okay, I'm just going to do, anytime I make a new settlement, I'm going to do these 3 or 4 things to it, and then I'm going to move on. I'm not going to spend hours making this stuff again, and plus I've gotten really good at making exactly what I want fairly quickly in that game. So I managed to progress the story a bit and got to the Institute. I did a lot of other side quest stuff at the game too, but I basically got to the Institute and met the leader, and then kind of haven't played the game since. Because it turns out that was a joke I've been telling for like since it came out.
Right.
I don't.
I think you ran into the point where that was about the point where I sort of fell out of love with Fallout, where there's a storyline. They explain something from the storyline as when you hit the Institute, and it's sort of like, oh, well, okay, I don't know if I like that. All right, the Institute looks
I haven't
cool.
reached it there yet.
Yeah,
I feel bad.
Yeah, I won't spoil it, but like I think that was the genesis of me falling out of love with Fallout 4. I wasn't crazy about it before, and I think that was kind of the beginning of the end for me. And the Institute itself is really cool. I like exploring it, and I like the idea of it, and I like a lot of the architecture, but I think it was right then I was sort of like, Fallout story. I forgot about how this can be.
Yeah, it wasn't like I don't hate it. It's just disappointing with how bland of an option they took.
Yeah.
Like, out of all the things they could have done. But I remember what I was doing up until that point. I just said, like, even though my plan is still to go through with the Railroad, I went ahead and joined the Brotherhood of Steel and did some stuff with them for a bit.
Boo!
I joined up with the Brotherhood of Steel. I think I have to do like some sort of quest that I have to kill a bunch of super mutants somewhere, and I think that's where I am on the main story path.
Well, it's kind of funny because I'm in my 40s or 50s or something level-wise, right? And I joined them like at the beginning of this, so I probably was in my 40s then. And I just immediately gained like 2 or 3 ranks.
Oh, wow.
Like, it started with one of the B characters going, I don't trust you. I don't think you're here for the right reasons. You got to do this stuff to earn my trust. To immediately be granted the rank of knight and be taken up to their ship.
Hail Knight!
It was funny. It was weird. I forget how much Bethesda seems to love the Brotherhood of Steel. Like, you can tell when, like, the other people write the Brotherhood of Steel, like in Fallout 1 or 2 or New Vegas, and then when Bethesda does, like what Bethesda does, they're like the saviors of the wasteland.
Right. Yeah, even
like
though they're
everyone,
kind of ostensibly the bad guys, you're right, Bethesda really does like the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah. And maybe they cast a lot darker shades in Fallout 4 than I've seen yet. Because I really haven't seen much of them. I basically went in their thing, they gave me some free power armor that I added on to my other 20 suits, and
I'm curious to see how your storyline goes, because I aligned with the Institute because there's no way in hell I'm aligning with the Railroad. It's very much the Institute versus the Brotherhood of Steel, so it's really, you know, they paint the Brotherhood in about as negative light as you possibly can, and I think I'm curious to see how the Brotherhood paints the Institute as the bad guys.
Well, and that'll be Mina's, because I'm totally siding with the crazies at the at the Railroad.
Oh, right.
I don't think like the Brotherhood of from what I've played, the Brotherhood of Steel doesn't really think much of the Railroad. Like, I don't think they're not even on their radar.
Like, they're too small to care about.
It's just kind of like whatever. It's more like we need to crush that Institute because they're gonna get us all killed.
Who cares about those hippies? Let's get the Institute.
Right. They got a big cockroach to kill. They don't care about the little.
Well, I kind of read through the big bullet points on the endings, because like once I got to the Institute, I'm like, what the heck is going on with this game?
Right, like what storyline should I get?
Yeah, and reading through it didn't really sound like I'd like any of them. But I still think it's going to be hard for me to, I think, to go through with the Railroad. Like, I really like all the characters in the Railroad, but kind of, and again, I just read the big bullet points, and like, kind of the Brotherhood and Steel and the Railroad sound like they have the same big bullet point.
I feel like, did I meet the people in the Railroad? I think the game forced me to, so I I met people, but none of them really stood out to me. In the Brotherhood, you have that. Is his name Maxim or something like that? I think it's Max something or other. Whatever it is, the leader. That guy is intense.
It's a memorable dude.
Yeah.
He's a voice actor in Life is Strange, which I just finished playing before Fallout 4, and it's the same guy, and I was just like,
he's intense, isn't he?
Right
Who did he do in Life is Strange?
The photography teacher.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no spoilers for Life is Strange, but
okay.
There are very few characters in Life is Strange, so any of them will sort of stick out. And I was sort of like, that's this guy again. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. The thing I like about the Railroad is you have, like, they're all weird, crazy synth liberators, and they're like your sidekick that you get from the Railroad. I can't remember his name, but he changes outfits every 10 minutes in game. Like,
what's his name?
I don't remember.
It's not Duncan, is it? I can't.
That might be it. Yeah, something like that.
Might be.
I just like I don't know. I just love how weird and crazy, and their missions are always okay. Go get this dead drop, and it'll tell you what your mission is.
Crazy.
I hang out with McCready more than anybody else because he's okay with me stealing stuff. So
I'm working on I got Valentine leveled up enough to where he wants me to collect all his crap.
He's
which
cool.
That's
really like Valentine.
Yeah, I ran around with Valentine up until the very end. There was something where I had to make a decision, and Valentine was like, "I don't know, man." I was like, "Okay, you can go back for a little bit while I make this decision again." And then I'll call you back.
My problem is I don't want to go and collect 10 or 20 audio logs for him to continue his story.
Oh no,
that storyline was actually pretty interesting. I didn't think I'd like that, but when I had enough fast travel points opened up, it was surprisingly pretty easy. And a lot of the places where you have to collect stuff, they're just dead. Like there's nobody even there.
Oh.
You just have to like root through an old police station, and it's in a drawer somewhere. It's not as bad as it sounds, because I was going through that and I was like, oh god, here we go.
Deacon, that's his name.
Deacon, yeah.
There we go.
Sorry, you typed it in chat and I saw it, and then...
It wasn't me. It was actually P-Flux who told me.
Thank you, P-Flux.
Oh man, yeah. What else? So I don't know. I will eventually get back to Fallout 4. I just I don't know. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll just load it up, explore the Institute, go grab Valentine, and just find all his data drops. Well, I'm afraid to power through it because one of the big bullet points at the end is disconcerting. I can't really expand on it, but it's...
Yeah, I think that's going to be a spoiler.
Yeah, because anything I say about it is going to spoil it. And so it makes me want to do everything else in the game before continuing.
Maybe both of us make a save file and power through it so that way we can talk about it and then reload our save files.
I guess that could be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we can do this before the end of the year, Mina. I feel like it's...
we
have
should
enough
really
time.
do this.
I believe
We've been talking about it for a year now.
Yeah.
Just get it over with.
New Year's
Rip it off
resolution.
quickly. Band-Aid.
So, kind of after playing this, my brother recently has been playing New Vegas, which made me want to play New Vegas. So, that's what I did, is I reinstalled it and then proceeded to spend something like 4 or 5 hours modding it, because that is evidently the hardest game to freaking mod.
I feel like New Vegas is like the new standard bearer for the Deus Ex rule, where like every time you mention Deus Ex, someone installs it and plays it. I feel like New Vegas is sort of like, now somebody's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna install New Vegas while I'm listening to the show. I'll do that. Yeah, I'll just install some mods.
Yeah, it's
New Vegas is my favorite of the Fallout.
Yeah,
and
good.
I've had people shun me for saying that, by the way.
It's an Obsidian game. How can it not be good?
I mean, just all the factions and the story in it. I mean, it's just so much fun to play with, you know?
Yeah.
so like my nightmares and modding for this game basically evolved around 3 mods. In that there is a script extender, which is what you do for a lot of these, and what the console mods are going to miss for all of these games. Then you have an E&B booster, which is just a graphics booster, changes some of the color tones, makes it a little bit better. And then this is an old enough game where it has a 4 gig expander. The problem is, the problem is all of these mods are dependent on EXEs. The script extender wants you to use it as an EXE. The RAM expander wants you to use it as an EXE.
Right.
And then the E and B will automatically load if you run either the script extender or New Vegas. So what I wound up having to do is the 4 gig expander wound up, and this is the other worst part, is the forums were wrong. Like 90% of the forum posts were completely wrong what you need to do to solve this problem. So if you ever decide to do this, what you have to do is you have to stick the E and B boot, so the 4 gigabyte installer has a folder in it called something like EXEs or something like that. And that's where, it's an empty folder it comes with. And that's where you need to stick your E&B booster. Because that's the only way the stupid thing's going to load with it. And the other thing is the E&B booster has 2 different versions. It has an injector version and, I forgot what the other version is.
Like a standalone or something?
I can't remember. They're both for different purposes, and you have to put the right one in that folder to get everything to work. Once I got all that in, it was fine. They even have a mod for New Vegas that is literally called the anti-crash mod. Its entire point is whenever the game encounters a fail state, it will make it not fail, basically. It doesn't actually solve any glitches, but and there's a lot of glitch fixes in it too, but
this reminds me so much of the DOS 622 days, where it's okay, in my cd-rom.sys I have this string, but this one loads before this other one so it can boot this other game. It's just god.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah,
I was surprised it was this complicated, because none of the Oblivion was simple to mod.
Yeah.
This was not, and on top of that, I kind of waffled on which mod things to use. I wound up going with, I started with Nexus Mod Manager and just stayed with it. I was like, Nexus Mod Manager.
Oh no!
I'm just gonna do an install and it'll work, and that's
Yusuf, what have we learned?
I know.
I told you.
It was so comfortable.
Mod organizer, man. At least.
I know.
But it's Musum, I feel like this should be your monthly column. It should just be modding Musum's modding nightmares. It should be in the kitchen nightmares font. It should be, what do you run into this month, Musum? Oh man.
Well, and the other thing I had to do is I had to go find someone else's save game to download so I could actually load straight into the game and make sure everything was working.
Oh, without having to go through the whole intro and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
And that intro is okay, Fallout 3's intro is cool, it's good, it's innovative. New Vegas's intro kind of gets me pumped every time I see it, because
that's true.
Oh, you're a delivery guy who got shot in the head and buried and left for dead. Go get the guy who shot you.
There is so much going on in that intro cutscene in New Vegas that when I first watched it, it was okay, I picked up on these things. The second time I watched it, I was actually looking at the people and kind of the background and what they were doing. You see so many things in that intro.
Oh man.
Yeah. And they I downloaded a thing that hides your karma notifications, and a thing that that hides the quest fail states, so that when you join a faction or something, it won't tell you. So I don't know. I'm excited. I streamed the first session of it where Jake quickly showed me that I know nothing about hacking and Fallout, which evidently has never changed. I didn't realize that.
Is that the terminals where you're picking the words?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird to me that is both in New Vegas and Fallout 4
and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always like that minigame. Once you figure out the rules, it it can be pretty easy to decipher it.
So what I learned that was new from this stream from Jake under all his heckling,
his tutelage,
was that evidently you can use the nonsense letters too. Like you will mouse over them and there will be a section of nonsense characters that'll light up, and you click that and it will remove one of the options or reset your amount of tries.
Oh yeah. Because if I remember correctly, they're between squiggly brackets or square brackets or something like that.
Yeah, they'd use a couple different types of brackets. But point being is I've been playing these games since Fallout 3 came out, and I've never known.
Well, it's crazy because they don't tell you at all.
Yeah. My brother didn't notice it either till I told him, and that made me feel better.
There you go.
But anyway, I didn't get very far in New Vegas. I've been meaning to play it again, but that's a game I really kind of want to stream as I play. And I probably racked up a bunch of bad karma because I forgot that I had that mod installed and stole a bunch of stuff.
Oh.
So we will see. Let's see. But moving on, I very briefly played Warframe. You can see the entirety of what I played on Warframe. I streamed it and recorded it and haven't played it since. But I just kind of wanted to check in and see what changed. And they made your home base spaceship bigger, and they added space cats to it. But once I kind of saw the grinding requirements to get the space cats, I'm like, I don't want to spend 10 hours trying to get a space cat.
Only 10 hours.
Space cat.
Well worth it.
That's probably like you get a sidekick that you could take with you in missions in Warframe, right? Like it started out with Sentinels, little flying robots, like in PSO or something, that go with you. And later on, they added dogs, whose name I forgot what they're called. But they just recently added the cat version, which they're calling Kavats. And I don't have one yet. But I don't know. They haven't. It doesn't look like they've added much, if any, like new story missions to it yet. Which is really what I was kind of hoping would have happened, is the next big story thing. But I watched their last dev stream, which was kind of sad because I guess they made some changes to the way a certain mod for a Sentinel worked, and evidently, like, the internet went crazy on them and started doing the death threat thing. So,
fun!
Like, they do these
internet
dev streams like every other week, and this is the most bummed out I have seen them all. Like,
oh man,
they just were. You could tell they were kind of heartbroken, but
yeah.
But they seem to have at least taken it in somewhat stride and tried to still be positive and talk about what they were changing, and they talked about why they don't have that next big cinematic quest done yet, because evidently they have trashed what they were doing and started over multiple times this year on it. But they now have settled on what they're doing and are in kind of full production swing on it. And they didn't give a time estimate as to when it'll be done, but they generally like to do things pretty quick, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's here by the end of the year, where I will probably jump back into the game like a little bit before I get the impression that's going on, so I can catch up on all the changes, because they changed how like missions work and the galaxy map, and I'm actually pretty lost on Warframe right now, which is a weird feeling after playing it for 3 years and only taking a half year off. But
yeah.
Let's see. I know I played a million games this month. Speaking of free to play games, I hopped back into Marvel Heroes, a game that I just have always hated. But I always want to give it tries. Like, they'll email me and they'll be like, hey, log in today and we'll give you Luke Cage for free. And I'm like, well, I may as well do that.
I'll take Luke Cage, sure, why not?
Yeah. So I logged in and it didn't give me Luke Cage for free. And I'm like, I don't understand. So then I logged out and back in, and then it gave me Luke Cage, and that was weird.
All was safe.
Yeah. But I've really I kind of enjoy the game now. Like, it's I think it's a little bland in some ways in terms of how missions for it work, but I kind of like the gameplay. I've been playing with Magic, who works kind of like the Necromancer from Diablo 2.
Ooh, fun.
summon a bunch of guys. You have a limit on how many guys you can summon. For comic fans, Magic summons her demons from Limbo, and that does include Sim, who, if you've ever read any comic with Magic where she goes into her Limbo state, actually they might have killed Sim, but he's usually the cigar-chomping giant demon in there.
Nice.
And they also, eventually, evidently, one of the things I'll be able to unlock is to be able to summon the whatever guy who was basically the demon behind the Inferno storyline in X-Men, which, not a great storyline, but, you know, the build-up to it was good. Last time I played, because I try this game every half a year or something like that, and I think it's partly because I put money into it at the start, you know, so I always want to see, can I play now and enjoy?
Right.
I can find where I'm supposed to go with the missions now, so to me that's a huge improvement, because before I was just wandering around these massive levels having no idea where it is.
That is quite the improvement.
Yes. There are arrows. They have, like, what helped me out the most was opening the logbook, and they specifically told you where things were on the map in the logbook.
Nice.
Which was just immensely helpful. I finally got out of Chapter 2 and into Chapter 3 and did a lot of the quests, and I guess the quests are graded now. Like, usually when you beat a boss, it gives you a medal, and maybe they always had this and I just never earned any gold medals before, but the gold medals are way better than all the other medals, and so that's been cool to get. I keep being tempted to try another character, but the problem is all the characters share the same inventory. And this being a Diablo-style game, like, half my inventory is full of weapons for Magic, so I would have to get rid of all of them, and...
no thank you.
Yeah, I gotta get... I'm just gonna have to play with her until whatever the max level is. I think it's 60 or something, and call it good, and then move on to one of the others. Well, if I even play it that long, I don't know that I will. But it's a good, like, turn off your brain, watch a TV show type thing. But it's also a game that you... Well, I say that. It's surprisingly easy to get characters in that game. There is a... They do have a dozen currencies in it, but you only need, like, 150 or 75 of this one currency, and then you go to Adam Warlock and you ask him for a random hero box. And they can give you the same hero you have. That has happened to me once or twice, but I've gotten like 5 or 6 heroes just from using that thing.
Wow.
Which is kind of neat. But I would say probably if you're going to try out the game, just expect, you know, go to their website, plop down 10 or 20 bucks for your favorite character, and it'll give you that character and some skins for him and probably some other stuff. And, you know, play away with that. But, I don't know. It's very much okay, next mission is kill 5 of these guys, kill this one boss, and then you go to the next mission kind of thing, you know. So it's not, like, fantastic. And it's kind of annoying because it's an MMO type deal where there's a bunch of other players running around that might kill the boss that you need to kill, and then you gotta wait a minute or two for them to respawn, and it also means enemies never leave the map. But most of the characters seem to have good traversal powers. Like, Magic can teleport around, so you can kind of skip around to where you need to go. But, and then last but not least, Susie decided she wanted to watch the Giant Bomb Persona 4 live stream.
Nice.
So obviously I started playing Persona 4. I just loaded up my last save game, which it was surprisingly difficult to get my bearings in, because I was in the TV world, just, you know, at that first save point. And, like, you know, I have Yukiko, and I have Chie, and I have Biker... Kanji, thank you. And I don't have Teddy as a party member yet, so I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, I have 10 open quests. And it doesn't tell me if I have that item or not. So then it's a lot of look at the quest, go over to my inventory, look up the item. And to be fair, as much as I love Persona 4, it is, like, both versions of it have always had issues, I think, with kind of quest management that they could improve on.
Yep.
And hopefully they do that in Persona 5. At least it isn't... I forget which one it was, but one of the games that you had to, go to the system screen to see your quests?
Is that 3, I think?
Might have been...
Something, yeah. 3 portable, maybe?
I just remember that was, like, the most nonsense place to look.
Yeah.
But anyway, after I spent, like, because I started playing it on, like, a lunch break at work, I'm like, I'm not going to get anything done. And then I was like... Oh, I got this request from Elizabeth. Is it Elizabeth? Margaret, sorry, not Elizabeth. I should try and make this demon. And then I literally, me being the dumb...
Oh, man.
I had a dumb spell. And I spent 20 minutes figuring out how to do this fusion and what to spend my money on. And then went to do the fusion, and it said I was too low level.
Yeah. Persona.
So... But on the plus side, after that session, I went through and fought Rise and fought Teddy and got Teddy onto the team, and then did pure social link stuff after that with some fishing, which I probably should have looked up a fishing tutorial on the internet because I forgot how that worked. And there was a lot of okay, press the PS button, close the game on the Vita, start the game again, reload. Because directly after you end fishing, it goes to the next day storyline dialogue stuff.
Oh,
so
right.
It's just faster to close it down and do that.
Yeah.
But I know we haven't said it before on here, but I mean, you really should play Persona 4.
Yeah, we've never really talked about Persona 4 before, but yes, you should go play it.
Sarcasm, yeah. So, okay, that's it for me, guys.
Mino, what have you been playing this past month?
Okay, I just remembered a game that, and while I'm thinking of it, I better talk about it. There was the Dragon Quest Builders demo that was released for the PS Vita and probably the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
I downloaded the Vita version, and hindsight says I probably should have also downloaded the PS4 version to give it both a try. I think I like it. I don't like how the Vita controls it. So I think the answer might be I should probably try it on the PS4 before I immediately give it harsh criticism, because it's kind of hard. I think it's kind of hard to manipulate a building world thing on my Vita. I guess because I couldn't get around the controls. A lot of inventory switching around stuff. I like a lot of their ideas. I like the idea of these NPCs wandering around the houses I've built, crafting things and throwing it in the box, and they're like, hey, you can take any of the stuff I made out of this box because you're going to protect me from the stuff that's going to invade the town at night and destroy...
From the slimes.
From the slimes, from the ghosts that are casting magic and destroying stuff. So... everybody huddles around in their houses at night, and they're just like, oh man. And then so they give you a good taste of the game in the demo. You get to experience a little bit of everything, and where it stops you is probably just when you're starting to sink your teeth into alright, I can't wait to craft something amazing. I'm about to teleport to a new place. I'm about to, I'm already building up my city. I'm feeling really good about it. And then it's like, this is the end of the demo. And I'm like, you got me. You got me. This is right where I was like, I'm ready to play more. And you stopped it right there. You completely got me right where I was like, if they had cut it short a little too more, just not give me the awesome fighting event with all the NPCs helping me to kill the monster skeletons invading the town. They're all swinging their swords like, we gotta defeat the boss monster, and I'm like, yeah, we do. I've got health. I've got health band-aids right here. I'm ready. I've got peaches. I'm chomping on peaches and wrapping band-aids around myself. I got this cool new weapon, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. You defeat them, and they're like, "Wow, that's a great job. You saved our city." And I'm like, "Yeah, I did. I saved all of us. You know, just all in a day of a hero's work." So I didn't play. I don't know if it's Dragon Quest 1 or Dragon Quest or Dragon Quest 2, but apparently, and this is not a spoiler because it's the very beginning of the game, apparently, like, the ending of Dragon Quest 1, the main villain asks if you will, like, you know, rather than fight him and kill him, how about, you know, you just split the world 50-50, you can have 50% of the world and he'll have 50% of the world, right? And of course in Dragon Quest, whatever it was, 1 or 2, because I didn't play it and I don't know and I apologize.
I think it's the first one, if I remember.
Then it is. Okay, so apparently in that one, not apparently, obviously the hero says, no, I'm not going to take your offer to, you know, rule half of the world, I'm going to kill you and, you know, this is all going to be good. So apparently Dragon Quest Builders takes on the world, the alternate dimension of the world where the hero was like, that's not a bad offer.
The bad ending route.
Yeah, the bad ending, basically. So that's where Dragon Quest Builders comes from. And it has, like, I don't know if I want to say that it's got an interesting story or if it's just got, like, I don't know, like, how thinly veiled this story is for me. I don't know how, like, in-depth it's going to be, but it has a story, and I don't know what it entails, because they hint at stuff, and then they're like, oh, I'm not going to hint anymore, but I'm going to hint a little bit, but I'm not going to hint anymore. And it's just kind of like, all right.
Choose one. Please, you're killing me.
All right, you're telling me stuff, and then you're not telling me stuff, and you're driving me insane. But okay, it's really cute. I think if you like Dragon Quest and you like building games, an easy buy. Like, you don't have to think about it. If you don't like building games, you already know where you are on this. You don't want it.
Yeah.
If you think Minecraft is dumb and you hate Terraria, this is not the game for you.
It's not going to change your mind.
You're not going to... No, it's not going to be revolutionary. However, I feel like getting, like, a little taste of this is kind of like... I really am excited for that new Zelda, by the way.
Oh,
and I feel like this is, like, giving me that fix that I'm going nuts for, where it's like, I really want that new Zelda, man. I really... Like, today... Give me that new Zelda. And so Dragon Quest Builders demo really was doing it for me. I think it comes out, and I know we're going to talk about this in releases, but I think it comes out in like 3 days as of right now while we're recording or something.
Yeah, it comes out this week.
Yeah. So I'm going to run the demo on the PS4, and if it runs better than the PS Vita, I already know what I'm getting.
Right.
So... it's really good. I recommend, trying the demo out if you're interested in it, because it gave me a satisfying amount of time in it. You can, like, just world build for, as long as you want. The game doesn't have, like, you can only play this for so many hours. No, you could just sit in the little sandbox world and continue building your town and building, like, a castle or whatever you want to do. And I was having a good time. I only stopped because I realized, I was like, this game's coming out real soon.
Right.
I'll just hang in there.
Yeah.
So that was Dragon Quest Builders. The other game I played is All Boston's Fault. I'm still playing that Brave Exvius mobile game. Since we last talked, there have been a couple events. The current event that's running right now is the Final Fantasy Tactics event. We're in part 2 of the gacha pulls. Part 1 had Delita,
Agrius, probably.
Well, no. Delita, Alma,
okay,
Gafgarian.
Nice.
Delita, Alma, Gafgarian. That was the first part of the gacha. We are now in part 2 of the gacha, which has Ramza, Agrius, and Mustadio.
Oh,
Mustadio.
Interesting. Mustadio's been showing up in some stuff recently, and I'm always kind of surprised. I was like, oh, right, Mustadio. Okay, sure, that was a character.
He was a character. Sadly, War of the Lions kind of... You don't need
sort of pushed him out a
Mustadio.
little bit.
You don't need him.
You have
As soon as
Cloud,
Balthier... Well, as soon as Balthier hits the scene, he instantly replaces all of Mustadio's abilities, and he's just so better. Cool. He's just better.
He's so much cooler and British.
So, what's interesting, though, is that Mustadio's TMR, which is Trust Mastery Reward, which is the special item or ability or whatever, that if you max out by using them a lot or fusing enough of them together, is a really decent gun that in the Japanese version is pretty much Balthier's second-hand gun that he will use.
Oh, cool.
Mustadio is still going to give you something that he's going to be replaced by Balthier.
Poor
so, but prior to this event was the Lightning Gotcha, which had 2 other characters that were pretty good. I ended up getting a Lightning. I'm really excited about that. Because there was a 1 to 2% chance pull or something like that, and I'm jazzed that I got her. So being able to have like a really good unit right out of the gate like that's going to be able to like continue with me in the future is really exciting. I also played the Japanese version of Brave Exvius to kind of get a sample of what's to come in the future. This game's going to be a lot of fun in the future.
Nice.
We gotta go through the burdens of getting more units, and because the unit pool's pretty small, we've got a really small pool, but when we catch up to where the Japanese one is, they have a different type of gacha pulling. So instead of when you pull, when you go to pull, you either get like a blue crystal, a gold crystal, or a rainbow crystal. If you play on the global version, it could be any unit that ranges within there. So for example, a Shadow is a 3-star unit, so he can come in a blue, but he also goes all the way up to 5 stars. So if you pull a rainbow, you could get a Shadow. But he's terrible. Right. You don't want him. So pulling him at all is kind of disappointing. But in the Japanese version, it is by base pull. So if you pull a rainbow, you cannot pull a Shadow. He can only appear in the blue ones.
Oh, okay.
So whenever you pull a rainbow, you know you're about to get something that's actually really good.
Right.
You've got a really high chance of it could be any of these amazing units at this point. Or if you get a gold, you're pretty much destined to get a above average unit. And blue, the way that they have it sorted is that the odds of you pulling a Shadow is pretty low because the blue star pull is humongous. So the odds of you getting one of these bad units is goes down tremendously. But because the pool is so low and global at the moment, they're not going to do something like that. It would be bad from their money standpoint, right, to do this, because why do that when you make more money doing this way? Right. So, I don't know. So knowing that what's in the future, I've started to stockpile my currency, and I'm just collecting what I can. The events are really good. Doing the events, some of them have been kind of hard in terms of the quantities that they want you to farm for stuff. But a lot of so there were 25 things you could have gotten from this event, but objectively looking at several of them, it was like, this is a waste of points to buy this stuff. So I was just like, I'm not going to get that, not going to get that. So I just started like marking off stuff that I was just like, this is a waste of time. I'll just get the stuff that's really good, like this fire katana that has like a lot of attack and it's fire elemental. So if I ever go up against something with a fire weakness, that's a sweet weapon to have. And then there was this shield that has killer passives equipped to it. I forget which ones. It might be demon or spirit or something like that. But what that does is it makes it so that way you do 50% more damage against that creature type. So both of those were worth the purchase. And I don't know. I'm having a good time with Brave Exvius. It's fun. I like it. I can see why some people wouldn't like it, but in the long term, what I've noticed about this particular gacha system is it's actually a lot better than it appears. When I played other gachas before, when I go to pull something, the odds of me getting something that's absolutely worthless and I just have to sell it because there's no other purpose for it other than to sell for currency or whatever, is pretty high. Right. Like the odds of getting like that 1 or 2% something that's really, really good is 1-2%, but then you're swimming in the sea of 80% of garbage. I don't want it. Right. Whereas in this particular gacha, I pulled let me think of, like, for example, I pulled a Shantoto. Is she a unit that I'm going to use? No. But if I fuse her all together, like the trash unit, I fuse her together and I get TMRs. Her TMR is like 30% more magic attack. Oh, wow. So even though she's worthless to me in terms of using her, her worthlessness as a TMR is... No. She's actually quite nice. Like, I could equip her 30% magic damage onto a good unit and, benefit from that. So, I feel like the gacha here is actually quite nice. Yeah. Like, it's not as bad as it immediately seems. And the other thing is, like, I've played some gachas before where you pull a 3-star or whatever, and it's stuck at a 3-star. You can't make it a 4-star or a 5-star or whatever. It's just locked in the 3-star position. Whereas in this game, I pull a 3-star of a really good unit. It's like, oh, it's okay. I just gotta level him and, feed him stuff, and he'll eventually get up to the highest ranking. So that's kind of nice, too. Yeah. And the materia system's quite nice. Makes a lot of units more viable. I haven't had any problems in the game story completing anything, which is another thing that I've had problems in other gacha games where it's just like, I can't complete the hardest difficulty because I don't have the right setup. Whereas this game, I have been able to take story units, the free ones, and a couple of other people, and I've cleared the stuff. Maybe I had to borrow a friend unit to do something that was really good or whatever, but I mean,
it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, and there's like 130 friend slots in this game, wow. And they come back off of cooldown like really quickly, like within 2 hours I get the person back again to use. Jeez. So it's not that bad. Yeah. I think I judged it too harshly at the start because I didn't understand a lot of things, but as the game keeps continuing, I've gotten a little bit nicer about it. They updated the Coliseum, and a lot of the equipment like the free equipment you get from there is immediately better than a lot of stuff you can get in the game. So immediately outfitting a lot of my units by all this free stuff. That's really nice equipment-wise. I think the last event they've had so far is probably their hardest event. They had an elite stage, and it was really, really hard for me. Not impossible, but really, really hard. it wasn't really viable for me to farm until I started working on my lightning, and now it's become pretty trivial to do. And that's pretty much all I played of Brave Exvius, and the last thing I played a huge chunk of, because it had a mega huge update, was Final Fantasy XIV.
Ooh.
So it was a pretty healthy patch, or update, and this is maybe it isn't like the completely final patch before the next expansion, but this is like the big chunky patch before the next expansion. So they added a new Grand Company rank, which I don't know how to put that in terms of other MMOs, but it's basically like the in-game affiliation that you're with. They gave a new ranking that you can get a new badge of position or whatever. And in this new ranking, you actually level up a squadron. And the best comparison I can have for people who don't play Final Fantasy is the World of Warcraft garrison, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you recruit NPCs, and you level up the NPCs on their little missions. You can have them work out and exercise inside your barracks, and you're basically building a squadron. And they have said that basically what you're doing is actually, like, if I understand this correctly, eventually you will be able to take these units and go into actual like dungeons or stuff with them, if I understand how they were saying it. So leveling them and working with them right now is highly advisable, I guess. I'm still like trying to figure out how it all works. I've got some really funny looking people being recruited. Like, I have this guy who's wearing nothing but a thong who joined my squadron. He insisted that he likes to work and play hard, and I was like, okay.
Oh boy.
Welcome to the squad. Was it Raging Ox? Raging Ox, welcome to the squad.
Good name for that guy, I guess.
You know, I have a couple of more sensible looking characters. I got a dragon lady who has a heart sticker on her face. She's a real winner. I got I got a couple of crazy people. They're all cool. Besides that, they added a bunch of new dungeons. My favorite dungeon that they had in Heaven's Ward originally was the Great Gabul Library, which was the Final Fantasy V library, and they put in a hard version, which was I've been dying for a hard version of that particular dungeon. It's just as cool. I like it. You fight against the page. What's it called? The page that transform into multiple things.
Oh yeah, like page 256 and 64.
Yeah. You fight against that throughout the dungeon. Boy, I love that dungeon so much. That is exciting to fight that dungeon.
Yeah.
They added another dungeon. Is okay. I have some distaste for bosses that have immunities where like they jump off the screen and you can't attack them anymore. I don't like that.
Oh,
I don't like that. So that dungeon has a bit of that, and I'm not down with that. What else? They added a new raid tier. The raid group that I'm in, we've cleared the first 2 of the 4 raids. We're working on the 3rd one. And it's always exciting to do new raids like that. It's you get to experience some really hard, cutting edge content at the front. They added a couple of other things to the game outside of that, like a lot of I don't know what the word here. I don't want to say casual, but it's more accessible content for people. Like they added a new triple triad gathering area, like a gathering hall to play triple triad in. So you can go see other servers and play triple triad against them. You know, I know they've added so much more, and I'm just blanking. The biggest change they made to the gameplay, and I don't know if I brought it up last time, is the auto attacks have changed. And
yeah, we talked about that last time.
Right,
I thought that was super cool.
That is incredible. It has changed a lot for a lot of people. It has definitely raised my DPS by quite a bit, because I never was really good about auto lock, because whenever you lock on to stuff, whenever there are mechanics, you have to unlock to move away from stuff.
Oh, right.
And I always had problems with that, so it was just kind of like, I'm never going to lock on then. I'll take the DPS loss to not die to mechanics. So being able to just, you know, as long as you're in the hit range of the enemy, you can just kind of, you know, just attack, and it auto hits. This has changed some mechanics where, like, the don't move, don't act mechanic, people actually have to put their weapons away now. Because before you could just turn around and be like, I'm good, I'm not going to attack, not going to act. But now if you're facing the other way, you still might auto attack, and the game will be like, you did something, punishment.
Right.
So yeah, that's different. I don't know. I like the MMO. There's not much that I'll probably bring up about it after this until another huge patch or expansion. So that's all I can think of. What have you been playing, Boston?
Before we move on to that, Coast Jamal in chat asked whether or not they've never played Final Fantasy Tactics and was wondering if it's aged well. I would say yeah. I'd say the PSP and PlayStation 1 versions, both of those are good, sort of for different reasons. I'd say except for a pretty big difficulty spike on the first battle. If you've played other SRPGs before, you'll probably be fine. If you haven't, it can be a little bit tough. Have either one of you played the iPad or iPhone or Android versions?
It's
Nope.
the War of the Lions version on and I would say the difficulty that hit me on Final Fantasy Tactics was because I really like to grind things.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened to me was that I grinded for so long that, like, my normal encounters they scaled, but the story battles didn't scale.
Right.
And you didn't get equipment like easily without progressing the story. So what I ended up doing was I was really, really, really boning myself by not having the equipment to handle the random encounters. And suddenly the random encounters were very scary, and like you had like chocobos dropping meteor on you from clear across the stage, and you couldn't do anything about it because you're like, I'm just a leather armored equipped
Right. I have a short sword here.
What am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'd recommend if anybody hasn't played Final Fantasy Tactics, I'd say definitely pick it up and play it. I think it's really great, and I bet it still holds up. Graphically, it's probably a little bit rough, but I'd say it still holds up. And just don't mind the weird translation issues. It's a little odd.
I mean, it's been a long time since I played it, but it's always been the gold standard that all these tactics RPGs are based on. I mean, they all kind of start with the Final Fantasy Tactics format and then blossom outwards. Like, I'd say even games like the Sky and stuff draw massively from what Tactics started. So.
Yeah, it's a great game. I'd recommend it if anyone hasn't played it, for sure. This past month, I played a lot of Final Fantasy Record Keeper because it's free. I wasn't so I ran into sort of a weird bug. I thought I was out of normal stages to play because none of them in Record Keeper, it sort of lists at the bottom. When you click on realms, it lists like 1, 2, 3. And goes through all the Final Fantasy games. I didn't realize I could unlock more stages if I just went and played Final Fantasy 14. So I've unlocked a considerable amount of stages after that. There's not a lot new in Record Keeper. It seems like it's kind of in maintenance mode for the majority of its life cycle now. But what they're doing is, once a month they'll have an activity or an event where right now they have a Final Fantasy VII one going on, where it's basically like, look, if you haven't played for a while and you didn't get Red 13 originally, you can go clear a couple stages and you'll get Barrett and Red 13 and Cid and Aerith and kind of all these characters. So that's primarily what I'm doing, is going through that and getting as many characters as I can and trying to level up as many characters so I can go do the challenges where you get the crystals to break their level cap, and it's just this kind of cycle where you level up all these characters to kind of do the harder stuff, to level them up again to do even more hard stuff. Someone was going to say something.
I was.
Sure.
When you were talking about unlocking the Final Fantasy 14 stage, have you picked the graph where you can make it so that way it's like a tree instead of doors?
No, that's an option.
Okay. Yeah, click. Okay, do the tree, because
Wow.
you've probably missed more than just the Final Fantasy 14.
I'm going to check that in between segments here.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'm still really enjoying Record Keeper. I like that I can get in there and just do a couple levels real quick and bounce back out, and it's not particularly difficult, but you can make it. If you really want to, you can get into some stuff that's really hard, but it's not as... Brave Exvius I kind of bounced off of that game because I found it to be sort of a chore to explore the exploration planes that they had, which I thought was really good. It never really clicked with me, and I had a hard time. I don't know if they fixed it or not, but I had a hard time in Brave Exvius where you'd finish a quest and they'd be like, "Great, now go turn it into this guy at this place." And it's like, I don't know who that is. I don't know where that guy is.
So the cool thing about those quests, because I'm really bad at that particular quest, is when you go into the quest log, it'll tell you the city.
Mm-hmm.
You go into the city and you open up your quest log and you click the quest, and it's like, do you want to go walk up to that dude? And I'm like,
great.
yes, I would like to walk up to that dude. So then I press report or whatever, and it throws you right in front of the person, and you're like, hey, I'm turning in my quest now.
Oh, that's a great change.
I love that.
So yeah, I like Record Keeper a lot. I feel like if this is kind of... I feel like this would be a pretty good introductory gacha game for a lot of people because it's not super involved. It doesn't really require you to put any money into it. The difficulty is pretty low, and I think it does a pretty good job at teaching you kind of the basics of the gacha genre. And if you like Final Fantasy, all of it is nostalgia. Just 100. Every item and spell and character and level, you're literally replaying through Final Fantasy games to like restore paintings in this this hall, and it has all the music and all the you're fighting against monsters from it's like the right monster in the right area in the right game.
Yeah.
It's all really good. The only other game the only other RPG I've played this month is Destiny, and since the last episode we put out, Rise of Iron came out, the real last expansion for Destiny 1, as we'll sort of colloquially call it, before Destiny 2 comes out this time next year, which is rough. Rise of Iron is both really good and kind of disappointing at the same time, which is maybe Destiny in a nutshell. It's really good because Bungie have learned so much from Destiny's first 2 years that when Rise of Iron came out, it's a pretty smooth system. They raised the light level cap up to 385. A couple of weeks it'll be 400. It's pretty easy to get gear now. If you haven't played for a long time, there's a lot of introductory quests for you to do, and it's how I've been describing it is it's getting closer to the kind of repetition-based loot game that Diablo 3 is, where you're running the same content over and over again, but it's easier to get the gear you want. There's more carrots to pull you along without you sort of feeling like, why am I running this for the 30th time? I'm not really going to get anything. Sort of the best case is they added something in Rise of Iron called skeleton keys. And for those that don't play Destiny or haven't played for a while, each strike, which is basically a short instance dungeon, when you defeat the boss in year 2, the boss could drop a specific piece of gear that's only for that strike. So it might be like a fusion rifle or a helmet or something like that, but it's something, it's usually, there's a warlock piece that drops from the Fallen Saber Strike that looks like the boss. It looks like the boss is on your head. So it's all this cool, like very specific to that strike sort of stuff. But it was really, if you wanted to go get that weapon, for example, you'd have to keep running that strike to get the weapon, and then hopefully you'd get the drop you wanted. Because even the stats on it are randomized. What they added with skeleton keys is you get a skeleton key. At the end of the strike, once you beat the boss, a chest will appear. When you open it, you're guaranteed to get one of those strike-exclusive items. It might not be the roll you want. It might not be the item you want out of maybe the 3 that are on deck, but it's going to give you something that you want. So the amount of time you have to put in to grind for that stuff is greatly decreased. So there's a lot of improvements like that. There's clan stuff in the game now. So if you're a member of a clan, your whole clan shows up in the roster of the game. But kind of on the other side, and I haven't done the raid yet, so I can't speak to that yet, although I have watched it a lot. On the other side, the storyline stuff is a real step back from the Taken King. It's not as large of an expansion as Taken King, which Bungie said a little bit before it came out, and I wish they would have said it a little bit more. Taken King storyline was really good. It felt like it had a really good arc. It was pretty playful. The characters that were there were all established and really good. And I felt like there was a really solid boss that you're facing against. There was somebody to go after. Much like Taken King, there are 5 main story missions. You'll blow through them in about 2 hours, which was the same as Taken King. And then once you've done that, you get a whole host of missions after that you can kind of do at your discretion. Those missions are all really good. The final boss battle of it is really good and kind of spooky. But the characters they introduce are all kind of boring and kind of stereotypical. They feel like they would have come out of vanilla Year 1 Destiny, where the main guy you're dealing with, Lord Saladin, is kind of this gruff-voiced, boring guy who's just kind of barking orders, sending you from place to place for reasons that you maybe don't understand, to fight a bad guy that's a self-replicating nanomachine that you're kind of fighting because. When you look at the Taken King, you're fighting Oryx because Oryx is doing this thing to bad guys and making bad guys even badder. And they're kind of... You had a villain, you had a storyline, you had something interesting. I feel like Rise of Iron has unfortunately taken a step back and not grown with what they learned in Taken King. And I don't think that makes this DLC bad, but I think it makes it just a little disappointing that everything else is going really well. I wish they would have nailed the story again. Because now Bungie has the the Destiny collection, I think they're calling it. It's basically all of Destiny 1, it's vanilla Destiny, and then the 5 expansions they put out. Each of which was very expensive, and now the collection is only $60. So it's if you've never played Destiny or you want to get back into it, that's a really good value, because Rise of Iron by itself is $30. I feel like, you know, they haven't finished Destiny 1. You know, there's going to be some minor events coming up, but I feel like with all the improvements they've made and all the content they have out now, if you've been interested in Destiny, I think this is a really good time to jump in. You have a ton of content. You probably have some friends playing because they're coming back for Rise of Iron. So there's plenty of stuff for people to do. I feel like if you have an open mind and you were sort of pushed away by vanilla Destiny, I'd consider giving it another try. With the April update this year, they fixed leveling completely, basically. You can now infuse weapons or items into the gear that you're wearing and using, and it will 1-to-1 raise your light level. Before it used to do only 80%, and that sucked. That was a bad decision. I feel like Destiny is in a really good spot right now, and there's a pretty great amount of content. I would still wholeheartedly recommend it. I play it basically every day. I'm just worried about how they're going to keep this game going for a year. Because the rumor is, Bungie is very clearly working on Destiny 2, whatever that's going to be called, whatever that's going to be. There's a ton of rumors out there that are so... You know, the date is so far out there, it's not even worth talking about some of them. But it's a whole calendar year between then and now. How are they going to keep this stuff fresh? You know, keep Destiny fresh? You know, daily quests and weekly quests only go so far when you haven't gotten anything in 6 months. So that's kind of my main concern about Destiny is how are they going to keep people... It's okay for people to pop in and play for a month or so and then pop over to another game. That's going to happen with every game. But how are they going to keep people like me, and how are they going to keep people that are the real hardcore players that are playing Iron Banner and they're getting into Trials of Osiris every weekend? In 6 months, how are they going to keep dangling that carrot for me to say, like, oh, they're putting out something new, I got to go get it? I don't want to be pessimistic, but it seems like there doesn't seem like a lot they could do. You know, they're coming out and saying, like, well, it's almost Halloween, we'll have the Halloween event. Sure, that's a days of content. You know, they'll come out with Sparrow Racing League, which was a lot of fun, but it's probably only going to be around for about a week or so. So, you know, how do they re-engage the community over 12 months? It sounds like a challenge I don't want to be on the other end of. I wouldn't want to be at Bungie and trying to figure that out. So if you're interested in picking up Destiny, or if you've picked it up again, join the E1M1 clan. It's just called E1M1. There's a bunch of people in there, and they're all super cool. They will play with you, even if you're just jumping in for the first time. And if you are, I need to do the refer a friend quest, so send me a message. Misuma, looked like you were going to say something?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Well, that's, boy, we've been recording for about an hour and a half, which is about right. And that's all I've been playing, so let's take a break.
Okay.
Go, Misum, go! Alright, now I need to open up Record Keeper. And,
right? I know that there's a tree because that's the only way I did those quests.
Yeah, I never knew there was another option. Let me open this up and see where... Some of this stuff they don't tell you in Record Keeper drives me a little bit nuts.
The game has been around for quite a while now. I guess they're just like, I don't...
Yeah, like, I don't see why they would want to make more improvements.
So, I believe if you hit realms, yeah, up at the very top you'll see there's like a little button to go into
see if I
tree
can show
mode.
this on camera. It's this little button up here that doesn't look like a button. Yeah, that's a tree mode. Man,
And that will save you so much time because you can also see when you're going to get a new unit by looking at that.
Oh, man. Yeah. Okay, so 4... Alright, I've completed a lot of stuff here. Okay. It also shows me whether or not I've mastered it. That's pretty nice.
Yeah. That's another nice thing is because I went and looked at that and I was like, oh, I didn't master a few of these. I'm going to go back and grab some of the extra stuff I missed out on.
Okay, so I still have stuff from 1 and 8, which makes sense. And then, boy, there's still a lot of stuff I have to... I'm not even...
And then there's the elite side of
this.
Things.
Yeah.
So you click the...
Wow, yeah,
Yep.
I'm not even a third of the way through this, so I still have a ton of stuff to do.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think both Record Keeper and Brave Exvius actually scratch two different types of gotcha itches.
Mm-hmm.
I think the nice thing about Record Keeper is you can get every Final Fantasy character. So if you're wanting Nostalgia Train, that's probably the better option.
Yeah, like even for those that haven't played it, let me go to the Hall of Rights here. Every once in a while, if you complete a challenge, you get something called Soul of a Hero, where you can basically go pick any of the characters that are available.
Yeah.
And they even have, like, all of the characters from Final Fantasy II. Like, there was a really obscure character in here that I was surprised at. Oh, Reno from Final Fantasy VII. Like, that's a unit you can get. I was sort of like, that's... like, you can get Edea from Final Fantasy VIII. There's just a lot of characters in here where it's like, oh, yeah, okay. Like Braska from Final Fantasy X. Like, not a guy I would have thought. Mustadio, of course, is in here. Our favorite.
Poor Mustadio.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. Great. Well, thank you so much, Mia. That is...
No problem.
I now know that I have way more Record Keeper to play, and that's exciting because it's free.
when I heard you say, like, that... What did you said something, and I was like, is he not using tree mode? I'm like, is he actually going through the doors? I was like, that's going to get confusing.
Yeah, because it'll even say on the doors, it'll say, you know, like, oh, there's new ones in here, but for a while it was broken for me. Good stuff.
So have you given up on Avengers Academy yet?
No, it has not broken me.
Okay.
I am deep in the friggin' Halloween event.
Jeez, yeah,
I talked about it on TVGP 2 weeks ago, last week, when the Hell's Kitchen event finished. They, for me, fixed the largest problem with that game, which is I would spend the $10 to $20 on a premium character, and then I wouldn't level them up during the event because I'm not spending money. And then you'd have to spend like 54,000 coins to rank up one character. Thankfully now, they retain the items they needed to rank up from the event, and then you can just get those items from the mission board. And I'm like, well, great. I'll spend, for the non-premium characters, I'll spend, you know, the next 6 months gathering some sort of token from the board to rank up somebody very, very slowly. That's fine by me, but the idea that I would have to spend more money to rank up a character I spent money on, and like 45,000 coins is like $50.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot.
No.
Yeah. I can't imagine they get much money off of people actually buying coins in this game. I really hope not, because that's...
Yeah, there's, you know, the old rule for whales was the 89-10-1 rule. 89% of people won't spend any money. 10% of the people are people like me that spend a little bit of money. Like I spend probably... I'm unemployed, so I spend like maybe $20 an event, primarily just buying the premium characters. And then 1% of people will spend thousands per month. And they don't care, oh, $50 to rank? Yep, let's do this. I got $50. $100 to rank? Boom, let's do it.
So, about whales.
Yeah.
About whales. I play Brave Exvius, and I can identify whales very easily by TMR. Yeah. By TMR alone, if I see somebody who has a brand new TMR, like just released today, equipped on their unit, I'm like, you are a whale of epic proportions.
You just spent that money.
You threw enough money to get 21 of this one character, so that way you could have this TMR.
Yep.
That is a lot of money.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, rumor is that Marvel Avengers Academy is making multiple millions per month. So things are going pretty well.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I can believe it. They keep ramping everything up. Like, so in the last event, in the Daredevil event, like what I've taken to doing is anytime. Okay, I can admit this. Anytime I spend money in this game, which is generally once about every 1.5 months, I buy their $100 package.
Right.
Their $100 package, like, if you bought their $10 package, then you would have to buy. I'm trying to remember. Like the $100 package is effectively double the amount of shards you would get if you got like the
if you bought them all
package.
Piecemeal.
Yeah, exactly. So the last package I bought was like the 3rd week of the Daredevil event.
Okay.
3 out of 4 weeks. So I'm still on that. I didn't spend all that much at the end of the Daredevil event. I just really wanted Elektra.
Right.
And I waited a whole week before I finally broke down and did it too, you know?
That was me too, where it's like, I don't really need it. I don't really need her. But I have all the other ones. I don't want to miss it.
The only hesitation was that they put her in that damn crate.
I know. I really hope they don't do that again.
Yeah, and I don't like the crate that they just released now. I looked at it and I'm like, you know what? I can go without a Taskmaster costume. I don't care about getting a little Red Riding Hood for Miss Marvel.
Yeah, I like Miss Marvel, and I don't like Taskmaster, so that's kind of a bummer from that perspective, but I'm not spending the money.
But I'll tell you one thing, I'm testing out this event, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to get the majority of things in the event without too much stress or whatever. So this time, I have all these shards, right? Mm-hmm. So I have bought one of each generator they've released. Okay. Which I've never done before. At most, I bought like one generator, and that was on like 2 out of the last 6 events, you know?
You know, sadly, after the last event, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy the currency generator this time, because last event was so messed up about currency. That's not the right attitude to take, and I know that, but I don't want to be locked out of stuff again.
Well, and that's what I was doing. I was doing really good. Like, I bought the generators. I'm like, okay, I have around like 2,000 shards left, or 2,400 or something. I'm like, so if they release a premium character every week, that should be enough to get them.
Right.
And they didn't release a premium character week 2, so that's nice.
Right.
But then I broke down and bought that stupid $1,000 shard group thing,
the park or whatever.
Which at first I thought, 2 hours for a friendship action. That's great. But then I discovered it kind of doesn't matter, because it's 2 hours for a friendship action, and you only get 10 points towards that friendship instead of 20.
Oh, well. Yeah, I guess that speeds it up a little bit, but not like as much as you'd like.
You get more of the items that action does, so that's appealing.
Right.
If you only need 10 points, like, you know, once you get to that level 4 rank, you'll find a situation where...
Which I'm doing
now. Better. Yeah.
I'm doing the math, and I'm like, wait a minute.
That Cap Wolf doesn't seem possible.
Yeah, I think it seems possible, because we still have, like, 30 days, but I think either way it's going to be pretty close.
Whatever's after him definitely isn't happening. Mm-hmm. Unless they just make that free to cheap, but...
Yeah.
I don't know, I have mixed feelings. I like some of the stuff they're doing right now, and I don't.
I like the training stuff. Like, the new 30-second training is really good, because I don't want to spend 4 hours to get the thing to spend 4 hours to train. The new fighting seems fine. I really wish... You bought Ghost Rider, right?
Yes.
I really wish his fire-breathing animation was about half as long. It's so long, and he's the dude you fight everybody with, and it's so long. But I feel like, and I know Knobs doesn't really believe me, because he feels like he got screwed by the game really early on. I feel like with every event they make improvements, and they learn a lesson, and I think the pessimistic look is like, oh, they're just trying to screw us over to get us to spend money. But I feel like they're continuing to make a lot of stuff much more easy, while still saying like, hey, if you want the cool characters, you gotta spend the $10, which is fine.
Yeah. No, and I agree. They're very much. I would agree to the extent that they're 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah. Yep.
I think they're improving more than they're messing up, but I still think they mess up more and more, especially with these long events where their mistakes kind of stack on each other.
Right. Yeah, where it's like, oh, I'll just buy a generator for these one type of pumpkins, and then the second week there's a new type, and it's like, wait a minute, what?
I am a little bit worried about that.
Yeah.
So I'm down to, I think I have a little bit over 1,000 shards left. So next week, if they do another generator, I'm just going to have to wait for a premium character.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it looks like, based on the cells, it looks like Blade is the other premium character. So that's fine.
I'm kind of indifferent to him, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll probably buy him if he's, Ghost Rider doubled the amount of those traps that drop from the mission board, which is really great. Like, that's the type of premium I want to have. Yeah. If Blade doesn't have a really good one, I might not bother. Because it's probably going to be $15, and I don't know if I can afford that for somebody that doesn't have a really great benefit to him.
Well, and I really just hope we can recruit Dracula and Satana.
Yep. I think those are cool.
So, if we can do that, we'll be good. I was bummed about missing Kingpin in a cage last time.
Yep.
And
I wasn't even close. I didn't even get Punisher. Like, I would have to spend way too much money to get him.
I would have been surprised if I had gotten Luke Cage if I didn't spend money that 3rd week.
I got Luke Cage, and I got him to rank 1 when it was done. Like, is like fresh out of the box, and that was it. Yeah.
Well, and I barely got Punisher.
Yeah.
To get Punisher, I had to spend a lot of the shards I just bought.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of trying to figure out where I would spend the least by rushing actions.
Right. Is this cheaper than this? Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I wish they would kind of make their game a little bit less like gambling, since you don't always know what's going to benefit you.
Yeah. A little too much math involved.
Yeah, but anyway.
All right, let's head into this next segment before Mina melts.
It's so hot in Texas. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just getting worried about you. All right, you guys ready?
I am ready.
All right, this is gonna be like a 5-minute segment, but let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk about RPG releases for October 2016. First up, out now, Paper Mario Color Splash for the Wii U. Not getting great reviews. Sorry, Paper Mario.
Not surprised.
Looks a little rough. I can appreciate them trying new stuff in that franchise, but I think the new stuff, after watching some gameplay of it, I think the new stuff they tried is wrong. So
I guess I'm still kind of like one of those bitter people who wants the old original Paper Mario and not the sticker.
Yeah.
Mario.
Yeah. You're not alone.
I know I'm not alone,
Yeah.
but it sure seems like Nintendo is kind of like, yeah, well, we make more money doing this, so we don't really care
This is what
you
want.
want.
So.
And so I'm kind of like, I ain't gonna buy your game then.
Yeah. As we talked about earlier, Dragon Quest Builders is out on PS4 and Vita on the 11th. All the reviews that have come out so far have been really good, so, check it out. Maybe this is it. There's a demo now for PS4 and Vita.
Yeah.
So you can try it out for free. It'll hook, line, and sink you. Coming on the 25th, a game I continue to get way more excited about than I thought. World of Final Fantasy for PS4 and Vita. That game is adorable. It has no reason to be that cute.
Are you going to get it on the Vita or the PS4?
It's in my GameFly queue for PS4. So that's probably where I'm going to where I'm gonna play that guy.
I think if I watch a little bit more of what people play of it, I might get it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still on the fence here.
I hope they put out a demo for that, because I feel like a demo could sell a lot of people on that.
Demo could sell me.
Yeah.
As builders did.
Yeah. And last but not least, one of Musim's favorite games, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition, coming out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One on the 28th.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I don't... Never played that game in my life. I don't know that one. All right, let's move on to news stories in our famous 2 hours first segment, 5 minutes second segment. Wasteland 3 was announced. It is currently being kickstarted / invested on fig.co. They're asking for $2.75 million, and right before recording, they passed that limit with only 26 days left to go. So, doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Musim, it seems like you've been following this a little bit more closely than I have. What are the deets on this one?
So they started emailing previous backers of their games about this maybe a week or two ago, and I got to preview the Fig page and stuff like that. They actually invited investors on before they even launched the Fig publicly.
Nice.
So by the time it went to public for funding, they were already at like 1.6 or 1.7 million.
It's a smart idea.
So the way they're funding the game is they're basically doing it a third from the Fig stuff. They're doing a third from, or maybe it's more like 20% from outside investors, and then the rest of the money is coming from the profit they made on Wasteland 2, which they said was $12 million. The kind of the story is, because right now, if you follow Inxile, I always want to call them In Exile, but it's INXILE.
Oh, it's Inxile?
Yeah, like there's no E there. Like I don't know if
I don't know
that's
why
how
I
they
keep
say
wanting to
it.
say In Exile. Weird.
I
Anyway.
say In Exile all the time too.
Yeah.
But there's no E, so I don't know.
Learn something new.
And it made sense too with Brian Fargo's past. He went from like a big interplay company to this little company that you know had to shell out some not so great games before Wasteland 2. But basically, right now this will be their third project that is not released yet that they have running, because they have Torment and Bard's Tale open right now. Torment is due out next year. They're just working on localization stuff. So basically, their writing staff is free. Bard's Tale, they actually opened a whole new studio up in New Orleans to handle.
Oh,
so
wow.
While it makes me feel weird, the idea, like I haven't actually backed this yet, just because I backed those other two, and I feel weird about giving them more money for a third project. Like I love Wasteland 2, but like I really kind of wish they waited till Torment was out.
Yeah, they have a lot of irons in the fire right now.
Exactly. And what they're talking about doing with this game is they're looking for a 50-hour campaign. They're adding co-op. Excuse me. They're adding co-op to it. The co-op kind of sounds a little... It sounds like they took what Divinity Original Sin did, where kind of two characters can go and do whatever they want and let the other character deal with the ramifications of their actions.
That's a really good system.
But they're also going further in that one player can play without the other one, and then the other one can come back in without that other player even. So you'll have this... You don't necessarily have to play at the same time, which I'll be curious to see how that works.
Yeah, almost like a drop-in, drop-out sort of thing.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Because I doubt they're going to want to pay for servers for this thing, right? So I don't know if they're somehow going to do a thing on Steam where you have a shared cloud save or something. I don't know if that is even a thing. This game is going to take place in Colorado. They're also like they're going to do sub-zero temperatures is going to be the thing. Instead of worrying about bouts of radiation, you're just going to have proper gear and vehicles, and they are adding vehicles to this. If you watch their little video that they posted of the encounter, they basically drive up to this base and get in a fight, and one of the team members runs into the vehicle and starts manning the minigun on top of it.
Jeez.
So that looks neat. They brought in these guys named Brotherhood Games to help with the graphics. Brotherhood Games got attention a while back because they took Fallout 4 and Bioshock Infinite, just took those games as is and made them isometric.
Oh, right.
So basically, they are using those guys so that whenever you go into a conversation, it'll zoom in real close on the character and you'll get a good animated graphic while they talk.
That's going to be pretty cool.
So, and they show an example of that in the game. It looks pretty neat. But it by all accounts, it's probably going to be a fantastic game. I just have personal hang-ups. I don't know if I'll back it or not because I'm pretty low on cash right now, and if I did, I'd probably put it on a credit card, and I need to stop using those.
Well, and the nice thing about how successful this team has been and how successful Wasteland 2 was, that even before it got backed, you knew it was going to get backed and you knew it was going to come out. So you didn't necessarily need to put your money forth to get it get it fulfilled.
The other nice thing is they gave me like a $5 off coupon since I backed their other stuff.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Nice.
So, which is nice too because they're evidently charging like normally on these Kickstarter things, if you pick a physical tier, it includes the shipping.
Right.
This does not. Like I kind of poked around through because I didn't have a Fig account, so I haven't set up any payment options through it, but I kind of walked through the checkout line without actually backing, and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna add $10 on if you want this collector's edition box set thing, which was I think a $95 price point or something. But I think if I do wind up backing it, I'm gonna go for their digital copy, which is I think $30 or. That's a
pretty good price, especially for backing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one from the get-go, they're saying they're bringing out for consoles too.
Nice.
So, but anyway.
Cool. So go back that at fig.co. There's only 2 games that are currently being backed on that site, so it just go there and you'll be able to find it really easily. The only other news story we have this month, because it's been kind of quiet, been a roller coaster ride about Bethesda versus Sony about are mods coming out for PS4 or for Skyrim and Fallout or not. First off, Bethesda announced that the PlayStation 4 Pro will natively render Skyrim at 4K. So if you have a 4K TV, they put some screenshots out that make it look really good. So if you don't have a PC or you're not interested in getting a PC and going through what I've heard can at times be an arduous modding process, you can just pop that in and you got native 4K. They have announced that modding support for Skyrim and Fallout 4 are coming for the PS4 versions, with some caveats. Apparently there aren't any really caveats on the Xbox One version, at least sort of not in the way that we're talking about here. You won't be able to use any external assets. So you just have to use any assets that are already built into the game and any of its expansions. Sort of understandable, kind of a bummer that you won't be able to use that Macho Man Randy Savage Dragons mod, because that's not exactly in the game. But I'm assuming that was a fairly large sticking point for Sony and why they blocked it originally. Can kind of understand, but a little bit of a bummer. There's a 900 meg size limit on PS4 compared to the 2 gig size limit on Xbox One. Not sure why that is a thing, but there it is.
At the same time on that one, like a lot of the forum modders were kind of freaking out about this. But all the big mods are things with external assets in it, so I'm questioning whether they'll even need that much space if they're stuck with in-game stuff.
Yeah, because you're already using existing assets, so your file size should go down pretty considerably, I would assume.
Yeah.
And no sound files at first on PS4 due to the PlayStation 4's proprietary sound format. That's sort of an interesting one because there were some rumors originally that's why Sony was blocking it, because the PS4 uses some very specific and very proprietary sound format. But I guess that makes sense. But it sounds like if you're already someone that has been making mods for both of those games, and you want to put your mod on PS4, sounds like, and the reactions from a lot of modders so far are sort of like, maybe I'm not going to bother. You know, I already have it done, and I can put it on Xbox One and PC, and it's already done, but I have to do a lot of work to put it on PS4, so...
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, I don't... I've heard people getting, like, the script extender working on consoles. I'm very skeptical that that's a thing. Like, I'm also skeptical on... I mean, Bethesda would optimize these games graphically for these systems, so...
Mm-hmm.
The idea of doing, like, a high-res texture pack or something for it sounds like a really bad idea for consoles.
Right.
I mean, I would think the only type of graphics updates you'd want to do would be like, okay, this person made the graphics load faster in such a way, or messed with some of the lighting settings, or color filter settings or something.
Sort of the thing I thought of first for mods for the PS4 version are probably going to be focused around just the quality of life stuff, where it's like, look, download this mod and you skip the intro. You know, download this mod and you can fast travel to anywhere on the map. It doesn't really matter. You know, that sort of quality of life stuff that would be a no-brainer when you would be modding it on PC, where it's like, oh, here's this pack of 10 mods that just make the game a lot less annoying. All right, let's put those in, and now we're better. So,
well, and those will be like there's a mod that makes the houses you buy in the various cities like a point on the map. Like, get that one day one. Like, that's great.
Yeah, to me, those are like the... I would think, you know, with my admittedly limited programming knowledge for a lot of these mods, it seems like that would be a fairly easy one to port over, because it's not using assets and it's not using all this stuff. It's just kind of changing some of the game's behavior.
And they still have to make these through the Bethesda tools on the PC, right?
Oh, okay.
So, like, to an extent, because I don't think there's a console interface for any of this stuff.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if there was.
So, to an extent, I bet a lot of these mods will be fairly simple to move over, especially once you filter out all the ones with external assets. According to Bethesda, they're saying the majority of mods don't use external assets, so I'm wondering if, like, they're counting, like, a bunch of junk mods that no one uses or something.
Right.
But,
well, and I think when you look at Sony's standpoint, I think if you don't use external assets, I think you avoid, let's call them adult mods, which is probably one of the bigger sticking points for Sony, where it's like, yeah, maybe mods are okay, but that corner or that category over there, I don't want any of those. That's not what we want on our platform.
There are a lot of those.
Yeah, it's one thing on PC, but I think, you know, it's a console holder's worst nightmare for someone to get Skyrim at Christmas, head in the mods category, and then see a bunch of adult mods, and, you know, their mom comes in the room and they're just naked people everywhere. It's like, what did I buy you? Like, what is this? So for a certain standpoint, I can understand what they're talking about. So
for me, a lot of this is going to be wait and see, because I'm really definitely curious to see what this console experience winds up being for PlayStation, and I'm curious about the Xbox One as well, but not as much, just because they kind of get the full experience anyway.
Well, and Fallout 4 on PS4 was not a good experience. That game does not run well, and a lot of the loading times are really rough. Frame rate dips all over the place, so I'm kind of concerned about, you know, there has to be an understanding when you use mods that the core gameplay experience and the performance is going to be impacted in some way, because you're bolting all this extra stuff on top. But with how badly Skyrim ran on PS3 and 360, especially PS3, I really hope that this is a much better experience on, you know, not sort of separating the 4K experience, because we don't know how the PS4 Pro is going to run. I hope it's sort of from the vanilla Skyrim experience. Hopefully that's just smooth, because regular Skyrim is fun to play, and if someone hasn't played Skyrim yet, go play Skyrim. It's good, even without mods. That's a good game.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it sounds like this special edition version is going to be the one to get too, especially if Bethesda makes Hearthstone stable.
yeah, because it comes with all the DLC. So if they can make all of that stuff integrated and stable, most importantly stable, that could be a pretty good experience.
Yeah.
But that's our episode. We don't have any tweets or emails this month, so thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com. Email us, fans@pickingupthepixels.com. Tweet us at pickingupPixels. You can send, at any time you can send stuff to either one of those communication methods. I just save them all up, and we talk about them each month. So you could send one in now, and we'll talk about it next month. Musim, where can we find you?
You can buy my music at musim, musim.bandcamp.com, also on iTunes and Amazon and all that. And listen to my other podcast, The Carousel Podcast, at, it's thecarouselpodcast.com, and it's on all the services.
Yeah. Mina, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube on Mina KO Rocket and Boston.
And you can find my personal streaming, bostonhannon.com. That just takes you to my YouTube channel. And then you can listen to my other show, That Video Game Podcast, at tvgp.tv. And thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Musim and Mina, for joining me. Almost made it the whole episode.
Pleasure as always.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And our adventure continues next month. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for watching live. We had more people than usual here this month, but we're going to go before Mina dies.
Yeah.
It's too hot. We'll see you guys next month. Bye.